This is such a great example of how to be human as a brand and how to create a social movement. You know, I encourage you to watch it over and over again. It's on YouTube. Type in free hugs. You'll see it. You'll be moved by it every time in a different way and learn something new. It's such a clear definition of how to create social movement: physical, digital, local, global, with no boundaries. Free hugs, the free hugs movement is all over the world now. But what's interesting is this one man standing there from refusal, you know, as you see in the beginning, no one wants to give him hugs, but, you know, standing strong and proud to be needy of something great. And then moving from that to connection, and a really good one too. You see the old lady coming and caressing his face. And then we've gone from connection to influence, and letting people have their own share of this thing, and the free hugs banners start multiplying, and the free hugs movement starts and really spreading something real. And then the interesting part is, you know, as you've created these fans for your brand, it's this notion of what they'll do for you if you've engaged them in this way and you've been authentic. And so it moves from influence to support. And you see, you know, free hugs being banned and how quickly they had free hugs unbanned through just rallying together. So what you probably didn't know is that Juan Man, who is the creator of the free hugs movement and the man in this video, just didn't start this for fun. This wasn't a concept. It wasn't just about architecting a test and seeing that, you know, it got 84 million views. It started with a real need and a gripping one. I encourage you to read his story online. And so authenticity is to these movements, you know, what oxygen is to fire, basically. You can't survive without it. You can't create a movement without it. So what we can learn as brands is and what's most important is we need to understand that we need something from our customers, probably more than they do from us today. We need to catch them without approaching them. We need to be where they are. We need to empower them to stand for what we stand for and to take it and make it their own. We need to not hold on to them, not try to keep them captive. They'll keep coming back, as the lyrics say. We need to embrace the power of social, not as a tactic, not as a, you know, beyond just a PR medium, but as a way to weave webs in the real world and to shape movements. And by the way, just out of curiosity, Laura typed in free hugs on YouTube, and to this day there are about 30,000 videos that are tagged free hugs with up to 84 million views. So definitely a great example of a movement which brands can also create for themselves. So if a brand were human, we'd like to imagine that she would have something others want. You know, the best experiences can't sell a bad product, so that's, you know, that's table stakes. She'd be approachable. She'd master the art of connection. She'd master the art of introduction. She would listen and make everybody feel special, right? So, you know, embrace the importance of digital listening, about how to learn who your consumers are and what they need. She makes them want to invite their friends, right? Every experience should trigger an invitation. So the most important thing is that, you know, the experiences would have no strings attached. And this is where we really learn the importance of moments and how to create moments that keep consumers coming back. And it's quite a journey. Obviously, it sounds like a really theoretical thing. It's not that simple. How do you get there? Laura will tell you.
Very briefly. So, as we already said, what do you need to do? You need to weave a web. You have to think about, if media's transcending time and space, we need to think about our relationship with our consumers as much more like a web. So, as we've already heard, actually, from some other people this afternoon, we're moving away from this whole idea of targeting consumers on this sort of one-to-one level. If we have a web, we're in a much better position to be able to actually catch a consumer. And if we behave like a friend, then we can also understand the art of interruption and know when it is appropriate for us to interact with our consumers. And ultimately, so how do we start to do that? Well, there are three things that we need to really think about, and I'm not going to go deeply into this because it's not a whole session on strategery. It's about connection, context, and moments. These become very important. Connection is really about who is our consumer? How do we get inside the head and heart of those consumers? For those of you who are familiar with US of Tara, it's an American TV show about a woman with many personalities. And I think her family are a little bit like brands these days. They're looking around waiting to see what personality their mom is going to be today and how should they behave with her. But understanding the multiple aspects of consumers is important. And also where and how they live. What's their ecosystem? What do they do? Where do they go? How do they fulfill their needs and desires, both in a real and a virtual space? And in order to do that, we have to define the experience space. So what is our consumer's experience space? And bear in mind that we need to understand where the brand can intersect in a meaningful way within that experience space. And really importantly, something very strange has happened to experience space, which is a very traditional notion. It's expanded both across time and through space, all enabled by technology. But at the same time, it's also contracted time and space. For example, in one instant, you can discover a brand, you can learn about it, you can find out what your friends think about it, and you actually purchase it, all within a single moment. So we've got expansion and we've got contraction.